Hey everybody, I'm JJ. You're watching Reality Survival, and today we're going to talk about, is prepping biblical? And I think the answer to that's obvious, but perhaps some people don't really know. And so I thought we'd talk about it. Part of the impetus for this is also that I get comments very frequently on the videos that I put out about disaster preparedness, and there'll be comments like, what you really need to do is worry about your soul and make sure that you're saved, or something to that effect. And I get the impression that there are people out there who may be Christians who think that all you have to do is be saved, and that God's going to provide everything else and you don't have to do anything yourself. I think the Bible tells us a little differently than that. And I think that it's on us to do some things to make sure that we take care of ourselves and our family and our friends and those kinds of things. And I think the Bible verses that we'll talk about here today will probably bear that out and probably, hopefully show some folks that, yeah, you do have to do some other things as well. It's not just about having your faith. Faith is important. It's extremely important, and I highly recommend it for everybody, regardless of what flavor your faith is. That's on you and your personal choice. I happen to be a Christian, so that's why I'm talking about, is prepping biblical? But before we get started, I did want to let you guys know that we're going to be giving away an EMP shield over on Substack as part of our 100,000 subscriber giveaway, and all you got to do to go over there and get signed up for that is go to realitysurvival.substack.com, and you can sign up on the free side. Doesn't cost you anything. All you got to do is put your email address in there, or you can sign up on the paid side. Now, the benefit to the paid side is we're going to be doing giveaways on each side. On the paid side, we've only got about 40 or 50 members. On the free side, we've got about 4,000 or 5,000. So it's your chances of winning are considerably better on the paid side. Plus, we also are doing end of the month giveaways as well throughout the rest of the year for both, or for the paid subscribers as well, not for the free. We did I think 3 of the free subscribers when we first got started, and we might do some of those again after this year is up. We'll have to see how it's going. But anyway, just highly encourage everybody to go over there to Substack. What that is that's a platform that enables me to get in touch with you guys directly, so I can email out my videos to your inbox, and then you can take a look at the ones you want to watch, or you can delete it, whatever you want. I probably only send out about 1 email a week. Usually what I've been doing lately is, 1 email will have a few videos in it. So I'm not spamming your inbox. I don't sell the lists or anything like that. Okay, so is prepping biblical? So let me give you a little, what I did here is I found a few different websites that had gone through and done a lot of the work for me. And some of the verses I didn't think were necessarily appropriate. Maybe I had a differing opinion than they did, and so I might not be using all of them. And some of them worked well. I tried not to repeat any verses. I don't think there's any redundancy in here, but there's about 38 that I want to point out to you guys and talk with you on. Now, as you guys know, I don't bring religion into my channel a whole lot very much, and I've kind of explained why I'm doing this video, so I'm not going to be a preacher or anything like that. I'm certainly not qualified to be. These are just ones that I think speak to the nature and the heart about prepping and kind of the intent behind it. And I think that they make a little sense when it comes to having a prepping mindset. So if you're worried that this is going to be a real preachy video or anything like that, it definitely isn't. This is really more about applying some lessons from the Bible into, just our mindset for prepping. So, all right, number 1, these first 6 came from a website called reformation21.org, and this was prepping in biblical perspective, a post that they had there. So the first one they pointed out, which seems like to me it would be the most obvious, is Genesis 6 through 9. And also, if I'm reading these and these seem like they're from different versions of the Bible, it's because they are. So take it with a grain of salt, and if you get all wrapped up around the axle about which version these people were using or whatever, that's not the intent behind this video. So Genesis 6:9, and this one, let's see, the example of Noah preparing for the flood talks about that. You can also see Hebrews 11:7, where it says, by faith Noah, being warned by God concerning events as yet unseen, in reverent fear, constructed an ark for saving his household. So, this is just the idea that if something's put on your heart and you feel like you need to be concerned with it, then maybe you should listen to that prompting and do something about it, right? I don't think it's necessarily saying that everybody needs to build an ark, but it might be saying that you need to kind of think about what your personal arc could be and what you should be doing based off of your situation. So number 2 they pointed out there was Genesis 41, 47 through 49, the example of Joseph. So during the 7 plentiful years, the earth produced abundantly, and he gathered up all the food of these 7 years, which occurred in the land of Egypt, and put the food in the cities. He put in every city the food from the fields around it, and Joseph stored up grain in a great abundance, like the sand of the sea, until he ceased to measure it, and for it could not be measured. So the basic idea here is that God warned Joseph, hey, you're going to have some trouble coming along here, and you need to get things ready to go. And so that's what he did. He stored up, I think it was 7 years worth of grain, and it ended up being, if I remember correctly, so that the whole of Egypt was able to survive off of the grain that he had put back for that 7 years because of, I don't remember if it was a drought or famine or something along those lines. Again, just speaks to the idea of putting up some food, having some long-term food storage, and being able to feed your family and your friends and your neighbors in case something happens, something goes bad, that things happen. If you look all throughout history is replete with examples of things that have gone wrong and where people have needed to have extra food in tough times. So it's just a common sense kind of idea, if you ask me. Number 3, this is from Nehemiah 4, the example of Nehemiah rebuilding the wall and all the preparations of both building and protection involved. So again, this is more speaking to the aspect of home security, making sure that you have a home that is safe for your family, sort of your home is your castle kind of thing. So I thought that was a pretty good one as well. Number 4, Ezekiel 33:6. But if the watchman sees the sword coming and does not blow the trumpet, so that the people are not warned, and the sword comes and takes one of them away, that person is taken away in his iniquity. So I think this one is just mainly talking about the idea that if God has put something on your heart to do something, then and to say something to people and to maybe reach out and educate other people, you should do that. And I think there's a lot of you guys who have, especially you guys that watch my channel regularly, you've been thinking about starting a YouTube channel, and you've been thinking about ways to try to educate other people. And I think you should just do it. Give it a shot. It's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time, but it's not that difficult. If a lump like me can figure it out, anybody else can too. I promise you. There's tons of videos and stuff like that talking about how to start a YouTube channel, how to do things. So it isn't that difficult, and I'm sure that you'll do it well. So listen to that prompting. Okay, Ezekiel 38:7. Be ready and keep ready, you and all your hosts that are assembled about you. So again, this one's just talking about the idea of being ready for whatever happens, being on alert, watching for things, and trying to be mindful about what you're doing in the world. You're not just some sleepwalker who's just going through the daily grind every day and not really paying attention to what's going on around you. I think the Bible is trying to say here that you need to be alert. You need to pay attention, And that goes to part of the stuff that we talk with is as regards to open source intelligence collection and, why we do these news stories, live streams. We talk about current events and things like that. It's just really just kind of trying to get our hands around what is going on in the world around us. Okay, number 6, Luke 22:36. He said to his disciples, but now let the one who has a money bag take it, and like a knapsack, and likewise, a knapsack, and let the one who has no sword sell his cloak and buy one. Again, it's pretty obvious here, just talking about self-defense. If you don't have the ability to defend yourself, you probably should, because sometimes people aren't going to be nice. And you got to be willing to not be nice back to protect yourself. All right, so those were from Reformation21.org. So these come from momprepares.com. Again, I don't really know any of these websites. I'm just telling you where I picked them up from, so you can go check them out. Number 1 here, Proverbs 28:19 says, "Those who work for their land will have abundant food, but those who chase fantasies will have their fill of poverty." Speaking to the idea of gardening, working the land, and that kind of thing, that now, obviously, this specific proverb is also referring to hard work and diligence and putting your mind to doing something and not just being lazy. But it also talks about the idea of working your land and everything, which is a good idea in prepping. It's a good idea to have a garden and be able to produce some of your own food and things. Next one here is Proverb 21:20. "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but the fools gulp theirs down." So again, don't be somebody who just goes to the store, basically every day to get your meals, or several times a week to get your meals. You should have a considerable pantry of food in your home. Like, ideally, you really want to have a pantry that'll last about 3 months if you had to. You could eat off of just your pantry for about 3 months. At a minimum, at least a month. But if you could build it up to like 3 months, that would be great. And then if you want to be an overachiever, go for 6 months to a year, 2 years, whatever. But 3 months is a really good goal, I think. Okay, number 3, Luke 12:13-21, the parable of the rich fool. Quote, "The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, 'What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops.' Then he said, 'This is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store my surplus grain. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry.' But God said to him, 'You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with whoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich towards God." Okay, so talking about several different things here. Basically, it's another one talking about work and diligence, saying that you shouldn't just do all this stuff and then kick your heels up and be lazy and all that kind of thing. You need to be diligent and paying attention and working and all that. Don't just be idle. But it does talk about the concept and the idea of having surplus and storing things up. And I think the idea is saying that that's right. You should do that, but then you should also be charitable with that stuff and not just hold it to yourself, not just be lazy and those kinds of things. So there's probably a lot of lessons in that whole verse. That's a pretty long one, and there's a lot of different ways that you could go with that one. Number 4, 1 Timothy 5:8. "Anyone who does not provide for their relatives, and especially their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." I think this is a great one, especially for the prepping community as a whole, because a whole lot of people say, well, I've tried to talk to my family, I've tried to talk to my friends and my neighbors, and nobody will listen. They all think I'm crazy. And so if they come knocking at my door, screw them. And that's not the right attitude to have, according to the Bible. So you can argue with God about that if you'd like. But, I think it is what it is. And to me, it makes sense that you want to help the people around you, because if you can help the people around you, then they are less likely to be a threat to you. And if you're having a hard time explaining prepping to people, I've done some videos on this talking about it in the past, but the thing you want to do is don't start with the world's coming to an end, SHTF, World War III, Civil War. You got to start with like the things that just happen on a regular basis, like the tornadoes that just hit in Mississippi. That kind of stuff, like down to earth, real things. Talk to people about those kinds of things, and they'll come to the idea of the bigger events on their own. You don't need to take them down that primrose path. And just talk to them about real disaster situations that actually happen, and how a little bit of preparation can go a long ways in that. Okay, number 5 is Proverbs 22:3. The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. So again, this is the idea of talking about that, God has given you the foresight to be able to look at things around you and see that they could fall apart pretty easily, and He's prompting you to be prepared for that. And if you're ignoring that, then that's probably not a good idea. Number 6, 2 Thessalonians 3:10. For even when we were with you, we gave you this rule. The one who is unwilling to work shall not eat. So I thought this was a good one for the idea that if your neighbors and your friends and your family do show up at your door, it's not like they can just sit around and get the food for free and not do anything in return. They do need to be willing to work and to help you out with whatever needs to happen at that time frame, because those who are unwilling to work shall not eat. So that is also biblical. Number 7, Proverbs 10:4. Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands brings wealth. Again, I believe that is just, we've already kind of covered that one, so it's pretty self-apparent what that's talking about. All right, these next 5 were from offthegridnews.com. And number 1 was Ecclesiastes 11:2. Divide your portion to 7 or even 8, for you do not know what misfortune may occur on the earth. Again, just talking about being prepared for disasters and bad things to come. All right. Proverbs 6:6-9. Go to the ant, thou sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer, and her gathereth her food in the harvest. Just talking, this is sort of like the old ant and the grasshopper parable, talking about how the ant is diligent in what they do, and they put food up for themselves when they need to, when there are times of plenty and all that, and they can eat later on. Pretty basic prepping stuff. Number 3, Genesis 41:34-36. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be food for thee and for them. Okay, again, talking about food preparation, food storage, all that stuff. Genesis 6:21. Let the Pharaoh take action to appoint overseers in charge of the land, and let him exact 1/5 of the produce of the land of Egypt in the 7 years in abundance. Then let them gather all the food of these good years are coming, store up the grain for the food in the cities until Pharaoh's authority, and let him guard it. I think we already talked about this one. Let the food become as a reserve for the land for 7 years of famine, which will occur in the land of Egypt, so that the land will not perish during famine. Yep, we talked about that with Joseph. Proverbs 13:16. A wise man thinks ahead, a fool doesn't, and even brags about it. I thought that was a pretty good one too. So thinking ahead, trying to get ahead of things, trying to look at trends in the news, trying to say, hey, hyperinflation is happening, so I'm going to buy all the toiletries I need for the next 2 years because I know I'm going to buy them now, and they'll be cheaper now than they ever will be in the future probably. Or stocking up on food or whatever the case may be, buying meat now, like that's a big thing. The availability of red meat in this country might get more difficult in the future, so go out and buy a side of beef, get a pig, put it in the freezer, that kind of thing. Like, think ahead, use your head and try to save your money, because we kind of know that the trend that we're on. Let's see. Off-grid survival, okay. Second one is 1 Corinthians 16:13. Be on alert, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. So I've often said that I think that prepping is like the most masculine and the most manly kind of thing that a father and a husband can do for their family, because it's ensuring security and provision, making sure that they have food, making sure that they're well taken care of, and all that kind of thing. So that's a really masculine kind of thing. I think that speaks to this verse right here. Number 3 is 1 Thessalonians 5:6. Therefore, let us not sleep as others do, but let us watch and be sober. Again, talking about not walking through life with your eyes closed, not paying attention, trying to be on edge and on, sort of on alert to watch for what things are happening. Okay, these last 17 are from openbible.info, topics on preparation. So Luke 21:36, but stay awake at all times, praying that you may have the strength to escape all these things that are going to take place and to stand before the Son of Man. So again, talking about some of the difficulties that the church is going to go through and all that kind of stuff, and just being that you want to be strong, you want to be able to operate from a position of strength so that you can endure those kinds of things. Number 2, Ezekiel 38:7. Be ready and keep ready, you and all your hosts that are assembled about you, and be a guard for them. Again, same kind of thing. A little bit of a talk of being a guard for them, talking about being able to be armed, being able to, stand, as security, that kind of thing. Number 3, Luke 21:9-36. And when you hear of wars and tumults, do not be terrified, for these things must first take place, but the end will not be at once. Then he said unto them, nations will rise against nation, and kingdoms against kingdom. There will be great earthquakes, and in various places, and famines and pestilences. And there will be terrors and great signs from heaven. But before all of this, they will lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and prisons. And you will be brought before the kings and governors for my name's sake. This will be your opportunity to bear witness. So, talking about the apostles and the people who are evangelizing the Christian faith, and how they're going to be rough times, right? You got to be ready for them. You got to be willing to go through all those things. And even though on one hand this was talking specifically about the people and how they would be persecuted back then, I think it also lays out a pretty good framework for the things that people in the modern church could also see. Okay, number 4, Revelation 18:14. Then I heard another voice from heaven say, come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins, so that you will not receive any of her plagues. This is pretty big on Pastor Joe Fox's channel, Viking Preparedness, and Bear Independent also talks about that verse quite a lot as well. And it's true. You stay in the cities, man, that's going to be difficult. It's going to be very difficult. If you're worried about our future and the tough times that are coming, being in cities is not going to be the best place to be. You really want to look at more rural areas. Just my opinion. Number 5, Proverbs 21:31. The horse is made ready for the day of battle, but the victory belongs to the Lord. Now here, I think, we're talking about the horse getting ready and all that kind of stuff. I think we can put ourselves in that place as well and say that we should be ready for battle as well, even though the victory will obviously be in the Lord. Number 6, Matthew 24:13. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. Again, A lot of these are just real quick verses, somewhat out of context and things like that. So don't read too much into this. This is not supposed to be, preaching or anything like that. But it is kind of interesting that it's talking about being willing to endure, willing to be ready for what comes, and willing to be able to stand through to the end. And I think that's part of the prepping call, so to say. Number 7 is, therefore stay awake, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. This one I threw in here because it is talking about the aspect of being awake and alert and all that, but it also talks about that you don't know what day the Lord is coming. There's so many people on YouTube who try to use Revelations and other prophetic books to try to guesstimate when the Lord's second coming will be. And I think that is so foolhardy personally, because the Bible tells us over and over again that you do not know on the day that the Lord will come. And I think there's another one that even says that only the Father knows, not even Jesus. So it's interesting that people try to do it anyway. I don't think it matters personally, but the reason is that you should always be ready. You should just always assume that you're going to meet the Lord every day when you wake up, and try to behave that way and behave accordingly. Okay, so number 8, Proverbs 15:22. Without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed. So this one kind of spoke to me a little bit about the idea of having a group, having friends, having people that you can talk to, bounce ideas off of, and just seeking wise counsel from people who know what they're talking about. People who don't do that, the Bible says their plans will fail, right? So it makes sense. It really does when you think about it. If you get a good group of people around you, definitely you always make better decisions. Let's see. Number 9, proclaim this among the nations. Consecrate for war. Stir up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. So this was in Joel 3:9. This is, I think that this is sort of talking about, well, the way that I take it is that you should be able to be that sort of Minuteman, right? Like we've talked about in the past on the channel here. Be ready for war, but be a peaceful person. Another verse, and I don't remember which one it is, but the meek shall inherit the earth. The definition of being meek doesn't mean small or weak or timid or anything like that. It actually means somebody who is capable of being a warrior who chooses to be peaceful, right? So that I thought is important, and I didn't find that when I was going through this one. I should have put that one in here as well. If you guys know what verse that is, then let me know down in the comments below. Okay, let's see here. Number 10. We're almost done. We got a few more. Philippians 4:6-7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Jesus Christ. So this one I thought was interesting about the do not be anxious about anything. This is speaking to some of the folks out there who are worried about, like they have this one topic issue, like I'm worried about an EMP, or I'm worried about nuclear war, or I'm worried about famine, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Pick your issue. Don't be anxious about any one thing. Don't be anxious about things in general. Just do what you can to be prepared for everything across the board. There's a commonality in survival. I've talked about that a lot, and really by prepping, there's like 9 major categories that you need to worry about, and if you get all those categories taken care of, you're going to pretty much be good in all things, no matter what the disaster is. So then you don't have to be anxious, because you're gonna be a step ahead and you're gonna be doing well. So and I think a lot of preppers deal with anxiety a lot, and so that's kind of where I threw that in here, because God doesn't want us to be anxious about anything. Number 11 is Romans 8:31. What then shall we say to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us? I just love that. I love that verse. I think it's great, and it's if you've got God on your side, you're listening to His promptings and all those kind of things, then you're going to be good. As long as you're doing the things that He is nudging you to do. All right, Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good, and what is acceptable and perfect. I thought this was good too, just talking about not being of the world, and that's sort of like goes about the come out of her, my people, as far as living in Babylon and all that. You know, if you're doing that, if you're being tugged into that, just try to stand strong. You know, be firm, act like a man. You know, and do your own thing. You know what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. Every single one of us. You have a conscience, you have the Holy Spirit, you have, you know, those little two angels on your shoulders, however you want to say it, whispering into your ear about what the things are that are right and wrong, and you know the difference, so just listen to it. Let's see, number 13, 29:11, or number 13 is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and hope. I thought this was just really just a good verse all the way around as well. But he talks about, you know, that He has intentions for us, right? So there's a reason that we're doing these things. Maybe the reason won't even be known to us in our lifetimes. It might be our kids. Like we might be called to be a prepper so that our children actually know and understand this lifestyle, because it's them who's going to have to live through the tougher times. We know it's possible that we could not, there might not ever be any major disasters. Maybe we get through all this without any problems, and maybe to some people that would be disappointing. To me, that would be great. I don't have any problem with that if society doesn't fall apart, but I do want my children to know how to be prepared for it as well, just in case they have to go through it. So who really knows what the plans are and why it is that these things have been put on our heart? But it has been. So listen to it and be rest assured that God has welfare in our in store for us. Okay, let's see. Number 14, Proverbs 16:3. Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established. I think that one speaks for itself. Number 15, Deuteronomy 31:6. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Again, talking about being strong, operating from positions of strength, and also don't be afraid. Like, prepping is not just about, you're not prepping because you're afraid. You've prepped so that you don't have to be afraid, right? You know that you've got things covered, and so it should enable you to walk through life without having to be afraid. I've seen lots and lots of comments over the years where people talk about, why are you guys so scared all the time? Well, dude, we're not scared. We're prepared. You know, that's kind of the idea behind it. Number 15, Deuteronomy 31:6. Be strong and courageous. Did I just say that one? Yep, I already said that one. Hold on. 16, Ephesians 6:13. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand firm. There you go. Again, it's really just talking about being strong, being prepared, being ready to be able to fight against evil on the day when it has to happen. Number 17, and this is the last one, Romans 10:9. Because if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. So maybe some of you people are watching this video who don't know Christ, and maybe you're wondering, like, what do I got to do to be saved? Well, it's very, very simple. All you have to do is close your eyes, say a prayer to yourself, and ask God for forgiveness, and then you will be forgiven. It's really that simple. It doesn't get any more difficult than that. A lot of people try to make it seem like it's a whole lot more and that there's a lot of rules and all these kind of things, but that really isn't what it's all about. You just need to ask forgiveness. So with that, that is it. We're done. I don't think there's anything else that I wanted to cover on this one. So hopefully it meant something to you. Hopefully it helps you. And again, if you feel that tugging in your heart that you need to change something in your life, that you need to do something better, then just do it. Don't hold yourself back. You'll be amazed at the things that you can accomplish when you try to listen to God and to live the way that He wants you to live. So anyway, don't forget to live the 6 P's, guys. Proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. Stay safe.